Hello everybody, I have Rose DeWipicator from Titanic with me today by Paul Grease and Peter Co. She, of course, is a portrait of Kate Winslet from Titanic. The official title to this doll is Edwardian Traveler because Paul Grease and Peter Co. did not have permission from James Cameron to make this portrait doll. So although we all know that this is Rose in her exquisite boarding outfit, it's not officially out there. This is Titanic is possibly, from a personal point of view, my favorite movie of all time. If you haven't seen it, please do. It has got every element in there for the perfect cinematic experience. Every element of movie drama you want is in Titanic. Amazing characters, exquisite sets, drama, based on a true story, and let's talk costumes, my friends. This is the first time we see Rose, and she has to get into the car, or out of the car, I should say, sideways because her hat is so large. Phenomenal. And Kate Winslet, I don't believe anyone else could have played Rose. And I think Paul and Peter capture her beautifully here. Her exquisite beauty, her beautiful coloring, perfectly captured. The hat is a marvel. You can see the black and white ostrich feathers with the feature bow, very large, perfectly in scale to what the original was also. And this exquisite Edwardian suit, white and navy. It's coming across kind of black, but it's a navy. It's a very dark navy trim. And you can see her parasol there too. Exquisite. Rose was made by Paul and Peter at a time when they were starting to really scale back on their editions and focusing more on one of a kind. So the edition of Rose is 3 dolls. I'm not too sure if all 3 were made. My personal doll that I'm blessed to have is number 2 out of 3. I do not know. I actually never knew anyone else that had Rose. So blessings, thanks be to God that I have her, but as I say, extremely limited. But like Rose, there was a time, I'm going back to the early 2000s, around 2002, when they were doing that, editions of 2, editions of 3, maximum of 5, and focusing more on the one-of-a-kinds. Then shortly after that, they, stopped making dolls altogether. So this didn't go on for a very long period of time. But that was kind of the scale they were in because they had been making dolls since the early 80s and they wanted to have something else for collectors, and they were focusing on the exclusivity of their dolls. Meanwhile, naturally, the prices were going up for the time because there was a high volume of artist doll demand at that time, and so their prices were going up, and with that they wanted to balance the fact that the dolls were becoming more exclusive and more limited. And then in America shortly after that, I don't want to say shortly, but more till like the mid or the end of the early 2000s, doll collecting and artist dolls kind of started, evolving into more of what we have today, that slow progression with the BJDs and the more of the emphasis on Russia being the epicenter of doll art and things like that. So it was changing, and now today with the market the way it is and the economy, dolls is a far cry from what it used to be, especially in the United States. The emphasis of it is nowhere near what we used to see years ago. And that's why the doll market is very hard to predict. When people ask me about values and everything, I tell them honestly. Your doll can mean, like for instance, let's talk about Rose. Rose means the world to me. The world. But is she worth what she was when she was new? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you have to, although the pieces are rare, you have to take that into consideration and also leverage that against the kind of world situation that we're living in, and the inflation and just everything against it, that, you know, you have to realize that you're not going to get back for your collectibles what you once did, especially if you want to sell them at a point, like, let's say you're left with a collection and you have, you know, no desire to keep them, or no real benefit to hang on to them, then you're basically, you know, you're going to sell them, and you're going to sell them to, you know, while you'll get something for them, it's not what, you know, people really wanted to get for them years ago. But a lot of people did the wrong thing, and I always advise against doing this. Never collect for investment. Never. Because especially when we're talking about the doll market, it's so fluctuating in its popularity and its phases that it's very, very hard to kind of predict exactly, let's say in 10, 20 years, what the value will be. So please, anytime anybody asks me, and even if you don't ask me, I'm just going to say what's on the top of my head. Buy what you love. Do not buy and say, well, I'm going to buy this doll now because someday down the road I want to take like a trip to France. You are taking a risk. You are free, of course, to do what you want at any time, but know that there is a risk involved. As with any kind of investment or stock market or whatever we're talking about. But I tend to give my 2 cents when it comes to dolls, because it is something that I love and I know a lot about, and I've been in for the past 45 years. So my friends, thank you for watching. Rose and I appreciate it. And if you're selling any pieces by Paul Grease and Peter Co., I'd love to hear from you.